This is your City Council Roundup, a recap of what's happening at City Hall with John Ongaro. The views expressed in this program are solely of those of the host and not necessarily those of the radio station or its partners.
I'd like to start today with a public apology.
Wow.
Yeah, yesterday I made a fuss over nothing, and I was completely wrong when it came down to what went on at council last night. Gosh, here I was thinking the councilors would endure a great debate on the infrastructure gap that's now at $31.9 million. That's $31.9 million that every single budget, every single year is short in order to bring pieces of our infrastructure up to a good or fair condition. I was wrong yesterday. I said, tune in. You're in for a dandy.
Yeah.
Once again, I left the meeting feeling completely let down. I'll get to that in a second. So I just wanted to start with the apology, Danny, because,
right.
you know, I've often been called out that I never say I'm wrong. I'm wrong most of the time.
Apology noted.
Yeah, thank you very much. Last night at City Council, we gave out a whole pile of money, like a ton of money. They just gave out a ton of contracts for work that is being done this summer. $2 million here, $2 million there, $3 million here, $900,000 there, $1.25 million here. All of it for infrastructure development and operations, engineering and operations. Things like hot in place asphalt paving. You know, patching things, sewer and water main work, sidewalk, pedestrian crossovers, bus pads, and ramp construction, and also the Mount Dale boat launch parking lot. If you haven't been down there in a while, it is a dirt road that is, it's not the nicest spot, but they're fixing it up, as well as the boat launch there on the Cam River. It's a great way to spend a few bucks to make things a little better. It's a beautiful little park if it was cleaned up, and the city is doing that. That one was $1.2 million. So there were some good things from last night.
Okay.
There are a couple of things, too, that I am going to completely go on record to say I'm not even going to pretend to understand.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll get to that one in a second, but first, the Asset Management Plan Phase 2 was presented to council last night. That is the $31.9 million gap in infrastructure. Again, understand what I'm saying. Every year when a budget is passed, we are $31 million short of being able to do the things that we need to do to get things up to par. Okay? City administration, I don't often disagree with, but I'm going to disagree with them on this one. They said something last night that in my mind they shouldn't have, but what do I know? I'm just a bystander sitting there with a bag of pretzels, watching the council meeting, just minding my own business, typing some notes to talk about something the next day. Well, the first thing that came to mind when I heard about the $31.9 million that were short each and every year is A, how are we ever going to pay this gap? And B, it just grows every single year. So we need to start finding ways to save some money. Administration pointed out before the presentation last night that we need to start looking at service levels. Wait a second. We can't cut any more service levels, and we can't raise prices on user fees any more than we already have over the last couple of years. I get we need to make the money somewhere, but they went on to say that this gap should not deter council from considering new long-term investments. This goes back to the scenario that I gave yesterday on your show, Danny, where we talked about the fact that your roof is leaking, your kitchen is fine. Why would you replace the kitchen before fixing your roof?
Yeah.
Take that and put that into tens of millions of dollars worth of work. Why would we spend money on shiny new things when there's big things that need the attention? This is the part that I don't understand. I am not an economist. I'm not a strategist. I don't have long-term visions for cash of that value. But what I do have is a little bit of common sense. And when I'm thinking about things we need and things we want, sometimes it's very hard to be an adult. Sometimes it's very hard to make the decision between I need a new roof, or in this case, I need to fix deteriorating buildings and roads and bridges, but I don't need a shiny new kitchen or a hot tub or an in-ground pool. Instead, I need to spend money on things so that they don't catch up to me later. So the part about from administration that says that it should not deter council from considering long-term investments, I disagree with. I think this council, more than any other, should be considering the fact that we're in this disaster, and it is a disaster, of a shortfall of $31.9 million every year because half of the council that's in that room put us there over the last number of decades, period. Port Arthur Stadium is a dump. If anybody tells you anything different, take a walk through the halls and open a dressing room door. That has been like that for 10 years. Oh, but we have the World Baseball this and the World Yeah, it looks great on TV. Somebody walk into the moldy dressing room and tell me how that's working for you. These are the kinds of things that some of us know or some of us have experienced or seen, and the city is not doing anything about it because we're looking at shiny new things instead. The roads are a completely different subject and topic. Fort William Road, outside of our building, from here to Central Avenue, might as well be a dirt road at times. It's a disaster. Is it on the list to fix this year? No. We'll just keep patching it. These are the things that cause these infrastructure gaps. So last night, here I was preaching to you saying, tune in, it's going to be a dandy.
Okay, that's fair. Good.
Nothing happened.
What? What?
Nothing happened. There was hardly a discussion about this last night because it really was just the report from administration saying, hey, just so you know, 150 pages to recognize, here's where we're short. Now, they did break down some of the things that were in there. Sure, they showed where this money is short. Things like water and water treatment fund itself now. So the shortage isn't there anymore because we're gathering enough money to take care of it long term. Yeah, your water prices went up, but it's taking care of itself. But what about everything else? This is where I start to get a little twitchy over these things because the other things need to be made up at some point. Councillor Mark Bentz, who, by the way, I've said more than once is the voice of reason when it comes to financials, said something pretty important, asked a pretty important question that didn't get an answer for, which was, what's the time frame to make this up? Mm-hmm. What are we going to do? Like if we add 2% every year to taxes on top of whatever else the increases are, how long will this take? Well, it turns out the provincial government has mandated municipalities to get off their keisters and start working on this gap. So the financial strategy from administration is going to be over a 10-year period as per the provincial guidelines. So for the next 10 years, we're going to be trying to get ourselves out of this hole. Imagine how easy it would be to get out of this hole if we didn't buy shiny new things for a couple thousand kids to play soccer indoors, and we use that money over those 10 years to fix the gap and the things that we need the most. So thank you for Councillor Bentz for pointing that out. Also, honorable mention to Councillor Bentz last night, Louis the Cat made some fantastic appearances right in some very important points right in front of the camera. God bless that cat.
Very nice.
He's there. He should be in council chambers. So that's the infrastructure gap. The next part lasted 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours on the housing and all of the things that we need to do to collect the $20 million that the federal government gave us that was supposed to be 40, but we only got 20. It had broken down into all kinds of incentives, including hiring staff to do all of this work as per the mayor's task force on housing. We're about 1,300 units short in Thunder Bay. We need more. We have been saying this, and we are absolutely not alone. Once again, it was a 2-hour discussion that uncovered nothing. Councillor Agarwal had an awful lot of questions and an awful lot of questions to administration. Most of them answered, but some of them weren't, much to her frustration. One of the things that kept coming up is a $40,000 incentive for creating a housing unit or for creating a space. So if you wanted to put an apartment in your basement and spend $40,000 on it, that $40,000 is available to you. Councillor Agarwal argued, how do we know that somebody's not going to just take that money and then never rent it out? She's got a point. Mm-hmm. There was no answer to that. So she put forward a motion to lower that $40,000 to $20,000. And that went to about an hour's worth of discussion and then they ended up losing. So away we go. The incentives are in place. The work on housing continues. It is a colossal amount of work. and they are trying their best, but there is a lot of money on the table that they need to figure out how to spend properly to get these units built. And finally, last night, your favorite topic, and I know we're talking about this on the program tomorrow. Oh, my goodness, we should have a service. We're getting rid of the blue bags. That's right. You can't use blue bags anymore after June 1st. The blue boxes are coming.
July 1st.
July 1st. You have until June is what it says in the notes. Sorry. You have until the end of June to get rid of the blue bags. The blue boxes started getting delivered yesterday. These things are massive, by the way.
360 liters.
Thank you so much, Tips. And so then the truck comes and picks it up, and they don't have to do nothing, and away we go. Here's the biggest thing I learned last night, and I look forward to your conversation with Jason Sherban tomorrow morning to talk about this. But the city is disconnecting from any of this.
Yep.
This is no longer them. They are handing it to a company that's taking care of it. And so if you have a complaint that your recycling never got picked up, you don't call the city anymore. That raised some questions about service to the community. And is this company going to be engaging and reactive to these kinds of things? Well, find out more tomorrow when you talk to Jason if this is something that is actually going to happen. That's good. But isn't it funny that here we are in 2024 and it feels like we're 15 years behind everybody else? It's progress. It is a massive change to the way we do things. If you are a recycler, this is a big deal. If you're not a recycler, you better start, because otherwise you're going to have this big empty box sitting in your yard that you're not using, and you need to. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. That was awesome. And you're right. It is a massive change, but it is also not really different. Whatever you put in your blue bags, just put it in this bin. It's divided to separate your plastics and your paper, your cardboard. It's very easy.
I think it's great because my street looked like blue bag heaven.
Well,
right?
now you're going to have
so
these
it's all
bins.
cleaned up now, and then you go to the neighbor's house and go, oh, I see what you're drinking.
Yeah.
And so these boxes will clean things up, but it's the convenience of picking them up too. But the city has nothing to do with it.
That's right.
We're also not making any money off of it, so the recycling that's collected is part of that company's deal. It seems like it's a bit of a complicated contract, but again, the city completely disconnects from it.
And remember, come July, when that bin is at the end of your driveway, it's wheels facing your house.
And
Just
that's
leave it at that.
That's otherwise the truck can't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So we're going to learn more about this tomorrow.
I'm going to put a little spot, and you also have to measure how far it is from your curb and stuff.
Yeah, 3 feet away from your garbage bin as well. Just at
Oh.
least 3 feet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
See, these are the things I'm learning.
Yes.
So
All
that
right.
all comes into play in July. So,
Excellent.
Again, my apologies if I led you astray yesterday by telling you that last night was going to be monumental. Nah, completely let down. We need to start talking about these things. We need to start talking about the money. And listen to me when I say this to you. If you've never been involved in local politics because you don't care or because you don't think you have something to say that's of value, you absolutely do. Your counselors are holding on to the money bag. Where they spend that money is going to have implications for years to come over the coming months. Pay attention.
There you have it. That is your Tuesday morning City Council Roundup. It will be available online, 999thebay.ca. And also note that you can text the word council to our T-Baytel Talk and text line in just a bit, 807-344-8229. That'll give you a direct link to the roundup from this morning. Thanks, John.
See you next week.